Good morning, students. I'm Dr. Rajesh Kashyap. Today, I want to talk about the projects, MCA project, wherein you are working with the different projects and you are devoting your time from the last semester. You're working on the project. You have done some part of the documentation into your fifth semester. But when it comes to the present your project, we are finding some of the problems while handling your projects in front of the external. So I thought that I should talk about the project and how it is supposed to be. So for that, I just want to say this is what I want to share, that whenever we are going to talk about the project, we must have to talk about the project in a proper sequence. So what is the proper sequence? So proper sequence is nothing but here the index which we are supposed to follow as per the university guidelines, right? But what happens, sometime we are following the index provided by the university of two three types, different types for the different tracks. They are providing different indexes. But when external is coming, he is thinking of that he want to know each and everything related to the project. So that moment of time the student is saying like, I have not designed the ER diagram, I have not designed the DFD, CLD, and so on. In that situation, student is supposed to talk about what else you have done instead of this, so that your project component you have completed, whether you have included the DFT, whether you have not included the DFT, that is not an issue. Whether you have included the object diagram, whether you have included the activity diagram or not. But if you have not included this, what else you have included? That is what the expectation of the any of the external. So we must have to take care of that. And when we are saying I have not done this and I have done something different, so that should be which you are saying that I done instead of this, that should be perfect. So that you have to always keep into the mind whenever you are going to give the presentation. If you look into this index of the project, it is talking about the company profile, then existing system and need for the system, scope of the work, operating environment, detailed description of technology used. Of what happened when we are talking, when we are starting our project, we are not dealing with the company profile in proper way. How it is? What the students are doing, they are making a copy and paste whatever the content is available on the website of that particular organization, or the content which is available on some another website, but it may be related to your company or not, it is not going to matter, and you are just copying and pasting the thing. It is well understood by the external that it should not be copied and paste format. It means what you understand related to the company, what kind of work is being done, what kind of project is being done, what is their transaction, what is their turnover, what kind of services they are providing, what are the products they have, and how many how many employees are into the company, who is your manager, who is the general manager, who is the CEO, MD. That some of the information is actually expected related to the company profile, their contact details, their email ID, their phone numbers are some of the things which is expected in company profile. Then existing system and need for the system. Actually, this is a two part which is included into 1.2 of your indexes. Existing system means you have to talk about the client details, that client which is having their systems and what kind of system they have, what exactly the system you have seen, what you have visualized, what you have questions, how you have come to know that what is the existing system, and through that existing system you have to determine what is the need for the system. Means your client is asking for something, whether he is have, if he is happy with the existing system, he is not going to ask for anything. It means what, I must have to check and I have to point out to my client that these are the drawback area These are the area wherein we are supposed to work so that your business is going to be enhanced. You are going to increase your business. You are going to get more benefit. You are able to get the report. Accordingly, you can take the decisions. So that way you have to specify to your client, and through which you have to specify what is the need for the system. Then scope of the work is whenever we are talking about the scope of the work, that moment of time we are not talking about the scope of work. We are students are writing the features of the project, the characteristics of the project. Actually, it is not expected into the scope of the work into your project. Scope is what? It is a scope of the work is talking about the boundary of your work or your system which you are going to develop. Means what? Only authorized user can access my data. The person, those who are having 18 years and above, they can only book my system. I am going to provide the doorstep services to only particular area. I am going to provide the product related to the hospital, related to library, related to books, related to stationery, related to housing society only. Means what? Scope of the work is talking about the limitation that I'm going to work in this particular domain only. I'm not going to work in all the area. It is not possible and it is not expected. Then another 1.4 is talking about operating environment, hardware and software. So whenever we are talking about operating environment, hardware and software, we must have to divide into three parts. First, server side. Second, development side. Third, client side. So all three combinations are having a different requirement. Server is having a different hardware requirement, different software requirement. The development team is again require something different from the server environment, but they require some different software. So they require some different configuration. They require some different memory allocation. Then the client who is the user of your application, if they require something different. So they require a browser, they require any of the operating system, they require some memory into their systems, and they don't require any database for their hard disk and so on, because it will be on your browser or it will be on your app, mobile app. So these are the things that we have to specify whenever we are talking about the operating environment, hardware and software. Now the next is coming 1.5 is detailed description of technology use. So when the students are talking about detailed description of technology used, so here you have to mention that what are the technology you are going to apply into your application. Means what? If your web-based application, it is obvious it is going to talk about HTML, JavaScript, CSS. Then server-side scripting language, it may be PHP, it may be .NET, it may be Java, it may be JSP, it may be Beans, whatever you have used in your application program. But while talking about the description of the technology, you must have to specify the version of the technology which you are using and which you have used into your application, or which you are going to use into your application. So you must have to specify like HTML 4.0, HTML 5.0, CSS 2.0, CSS 3.0, jQuery this version, JavaScript this version, PHP this version. Whatever the version you are going to use, whatever the database, whatever the operating system, everything which you are using into the technology, that you have to specify proper with a version. That is what I am supposed to say into this chapter 1. Then the chapter 2 is talk about the proposed system. So there is a difference between the proposed system, objective of the system, user requirement, need for the system. What is the difference? The difference is the terminology which you are using while writing the concept of the proposed system, objective of the system, and user requirement of the system. Means what? The proposed system is going to talk about the proposed system will provide this facility. So whatever the need of the system, you have designed step 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 need of the system. Accordingly, you have to write the proposed system will provide this need will be satisfied, this need, this need, this need, this need, this need. So whatever the number of needs you have calculated, accordingly the proposed system is supposed to be. Right. So you have to specify that the proposed system will deliver the authenticity. The proposed system will facilitate to generate the report by the management. The proposed system will provide the online payment system this way. Then you are going to talk about the objective. So objective is nothing different from the your need of the system and proposed system. So what is how you are going to write? You are going to write to provide the login facility to the users with authentic login credential, to provide the payment facility online, offline, वगैरह वगैरह, to provide the facility to generate the report by the management or the user. In this way, you have to specify the objective of the system. Then the user requirement is similar to the need for the system. So just terminology you are going to change with the need of the system to the user requirement. User has requested to get this kind of facility. User has suggested that he want the only secured user should enter. User has requested or user is looking for to generate the report as and when it is required. User has requested or user is interested to make the only online payment system through UPI, through app, through QR code, वगैरह वगैरह वगैरह. So accordingly, you have to maintain your terminology whenever you are writing into chapter 1 and chapter 2. Just you have to remember the student that whenever we are talking about the chapter 1 and 2, it is most important area in your project, because any of the external, any of the person, wherever you are going to present your project, they are going to look into the starting chapters, and they are specifically they will look into your objective, they will look into your scope, and they will look your proposed system, so that they will understand that what exactly you are determined to work on this particular project, and what is your limitation of the project, what is the technology you are using in this particular project. So he is able to understand that you are known to this technology, you what exactly you are going to work in this particular project. Then the third chapter, analysis and design, is comes with your diagram part. So Madhu madam, Kirti madam is also talking about your diagram. They have also discussed, they have taught you in their respective subject whenever they are teaching to you, right? So if you look into this object diagram is, or you are going to make an object of your classes which you have designed. So first of all, you must have to create the class diagram first. The diagram which is required to be your class diagram. For that class diagram, you are going to create a object diagram, right? Then you have to specify the use case diagram. So use case diagram, so always start with global use case diagram. So you must have a global use case diagram, and then you have to specify, so you have to break your global use case diagram into the activity diagram, or user based, or actor based, or activity based. So if you look into this 3.3, first is global use case diagram, then use case diagram for login. So it is for the activity. Use case diagram for administration, use case diagram for customer, use case diagram for employee. So this is the actor based use case diagram. Okay. Then 3.4 is talking about the sequence diagram. So sequence diagram for the admin manages the media, sequence diagram for admin manager media location, sequence diagram for admin manages plans, sequence diagram, sequence diagram, sequence diagram. Similarly, if you look into the activity diagrams, activity diagram for customer registration, admin managers, admin manages media, customer order, customer plan, diagram for employee. So this is where that you must specify what are the diagrams you are going to have on which page number. Once you have done use case, activity diagram, sequence diagram, then you have to specify your module hierarchy diagram, website map of the diagram. So root, home page, root is your home page, from that menu, sub menus and all. So that you have to specify. Then context level diagram is related to your total system flow. So here you must specify all kind of users and all kind of flows. So whatever the number of input are coming into your CLD, that number of output must be going out to the prospective users. Then you have to specify your data flow diagram. So you can specify like CLD is 0.0, so 1.0, 1.1, 1.2, then 2.0, 2. Like this. Then you have to specify the module specification for this. Now, most of the students are creating a database in their project, but when they are presenting their database, they are creating a lots of problem in their documentation. So you must specifically write down all ERD diagram in proper way. All the tables must be into the ER, and all the columns or the fields of that particular tables, and the most of the primary and foreign key call fields are to be displayed into your ER diagram, and there should be their association and the relation must specify 1:1, 1:2, 1:to many, many is to many, and so on. Then you have to specify the database design. Database design is talking about your database, so you have to specify table name, table description, then field name, field size, their data type, their constraint, their description. These are the things that must be into your database design. Then you must specify the data dictionary. Data dictionary nothing but the similar to the dictionary which you are using for your English dictionary, right? So in the same fashion, you have to specify the field and their data type, their constraint, and the table which is associated, and whether it is primary key or the foreign key. If it is a primary key of one table, it might be the foreign key into the another table. So you have to write into the description part that employee ID is the primary key to employee table and the foreign key to department table, customer table, this table, that is you have to specify. So that is what expected into data dictionary. Then you have to specify user interfaces, screens, and the reports. So screens, while taking the screenshot, you must have the URL bar and the task bar. Two things is always important whenever we are taking any of the screenshots. It must have a proper URL so that the people will understand that what is the URL, where you are working, whether you are working on a local host, whether you are working on the server or somewhere else. So that is going to make it clear to the external. And the taskbar will specify that when you have taken, what are the things you have opened that moment of time when you are taking a snaps and all. So that is what you have to always say. Don't make a crop of your taskbar and URL bar. If you are going to make, we or the external is going to say that it is a design into the paintbrush, not exactly you have worked. Then you have to specify the different kind of reports is being generated. So what kind of report is being supported into your application program which you have developed and designed, that you must specify. And you have to take a snap of reports also. Then implementation and testing, so you must write some of the test cases into your test procedures, test implementation, that you have to specify. And if possible, you have to include the user manual into your project report. So that is what I want to share with you, because I want the presentation into the same way from you people. Okay. And after that, you must specify the limitation and future enhancement of your project. So what is your limitation of the system which you have could not completed? So whatever you have not completed, that you come specify into the proposed enhancement. So what you are going to do after this project completion, and then you have to conclude your project, and you must specify the bibliography and bibliography which you are using into your project report. Okay, so that is what I was to share with you. I hope you will understand and you are going to use into the same way as I have explained to you. Thank you.